Dave Benett!
Hi there.
I never thought I would get to interview you. This is very exciting for me. I can't remember the first time I saw you taking pictures at a party, but it's so long ago that it feels like you've always been there.
Yeah.
I had no idea that you were born in Mauritius.
Oh, yeah.
So for the uninitiated, where is Mauritius, and what was it like growing up there?
So Mauritius is a tiny dot in the Indian Ocean, just east of Madagascar. And makes a lot of noise for such a small place, Mauritius, to be honest with you. It's, it's idyllic island for beaches and lots of hotels. It's that sort of place. But very busy guys out here. They're very busy in finance and all sorts of things, and skullduggery they're up to at the moment. But the Mauritius I was born in was really just turning towards independence, circa 1967.
Independence from?
From England,
right.
Yeah. So then obviously became part of the Commonwealth. And my childhood, I see that all happening.
You remember it?
Yeah, totally.
What do you remember the most?
Mauritius was a playground for us. It was so innocent. We just run around, getting in trouble because when the cyclone was arriving, my father sent the car to get us, and we decided to walk home because we realized that everyone would be indoors, so we could steal the mangoes and lychees.
Cyclones, mangoes, lychees are definitely not something one encounters here in the UK. So when did you first come here?
So I first came here in 62, 64, again because of Dad. And I lived in North London, North Finchley, and then went back. And then, sadly, my mum and dad get divorced, and then he meets a new lady. She wants to come back to England. So in 1969, he comes back to becoming the prison surgeon, Walton Prison in Liverpool.
Oh, God, okay.
Yeah. And so Richard...
So were you living in Liverpool then?
So then Richard and I stay in Mauritius for a year while he's organizing all of this with his new wife. And we live with family, with aunts and uncles. And again, the life, incredible, 11 years old, and Richard was 12, just gone to secondary school. We used to walk and see an uncle who was in the ministry and literally think Port Louis, the capital, was our playground.
Wow.
We'd just walk into anywhere and just mess about. That was the life. So finally, in this November 1970, we take the plane thinking we're going to London. And I wake up the next day and I said, where are we? And he said, you're in a place called Liverpool. So then I do a 5-year stretch in Liverpool from 70 to about 75.
That must have been a real shock.
Oh, yeah.
Huge change, right?
So you're talking about Ted Heath, talking about immigration, funny how stories are, immigration, dockers strikes, 3-day week. So all of that, negativity was flying around when we first got there.
So at what point in this journey did you first pick up a camera?
Nowhere near it.
Okay.
I mean, literally, I think my father got the Sunday Times, and that was the only newspapers, and that was on for show, probably, on the coffee table. Not an idea about media. Didn't even know that world even existed. We were running around. Liverpool was really, in the end, quite fun. And then I come to London.
Yeah.
Go to a school called William Ellis, North London. Again, a large grammar schools. It's the edges of the grammar schools, where I'm a late boy, and another late boy comes down.
What's a late boy mean?
Comes in sixth form.
Okay.
I arrive at sixth form. So because I'd already done my GCSEs, so I come at sixth form, and the headmaster welcomed me. I was doing English lit, French, British government, art, those sort of things. And a young guy came down from, he's Welsh, but he'd come from Highgate Boys' School. He didn't like the boarding school. And he and I became pals because we were both Playboys. And his mother was a journalist.
Ah.
And now it starts.
Okay.
So she happened to live 300 yards from the school. Beautiful little flat and apartment. So like all good boys, we were cuckoos. I was in there. I was the second son by the end of first term. And we were just hitting that age of 18, just getting on towards 18 years old. I'd found a 50-pound car from a cousin of mine, which kept on breaking down, but everyone was starting to have new cars up in that part of the world. And Paul realized that his mother had a company car, brand new, and he could drive it because he was her son. So
you guys were free.
Yeah. But the deal was this, and this is so ridiculous. The deal was that we'd take her into Ludgate Circus, where the Daily Mirror was. She was a big columnist for them. And wherever she was in London, we'd pick her up. And so we did. So,
Ludgate Circus. My first job in London was right near Ludgate Circus.
That was where Fleet Street, that's where...
Yeah, that's like... So Fleet Street is where all of those newspapers were based at the time, right?
Luckily for me, I don't realize this, but I end up... This is where this all goes towards catching the last years.
Of Fleet Street.
Of Fleet Street.
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically... It was the summer of 76. I'll never forget. It was the hottest summer in London. Everyone was sunbathing. People were having such a great time. London was really, kicking in those. And the A-levels came in not as good as we expected.
Too bad.
And Paul, my friend, said, "Oh, my mum's got me in this agency in Farringdon Road, in Exmouth Market, off Farringdon Road. It's a shortcut into Fleet Street if you don't want to go to university or local paper, because the agencies in those days all the way circled Fleet Street. So you had Sport and General, London News Service, Fleet Street News Agency, Barrett's.
And what were these agencies?
These agencies were exactly what they are. So now we talk of Getty and Shutterstock.
So it's photographic agency.
Photographic and news. So these young guys would be listening to the police radio, the company, and they know the court cases, because in fact the system in England is that the newspapers don't really see a court case until it's reached magistrates' court. All those other, it's the agencies, they pick up on it. London, Southwest News, London News Service.
So you were photographing outside courthouses and stuff?
Yeah. So this happened. No, hang on. So basically he got the intro and he said to me, "What are you going to do?" And I said, "I don't really know." He said, "Why don't you be a photographer?" I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "Those guys that were at the bar, in that slab in the back, wherever we were, these guys are actually very famous photographers. Ken Gavin, Mike Maloney, all these guys." I said, "Yeah, they're all pretty cool. I'd like to do that." He said, "Okay." So
you literally became a photographer because your friend randomly suggested it to you, and you'd never considered it ever. And this must be a BoF podcast first, because usually everyone who's on this show, they say, I dreamt of becoming a stylist, or I wanted to become a designer.
Yeah. No.
You just stumbled into it.
It gets worse. So then, obviously, I go for an interview not to be a photographer, but to be what they call an apprentice, what they were called lads. So imagine Charles Dickens, imagine Oliver Twist, The Artful Dodger, that sort of period. Yeah, these sort of guys, that sort of. So I get an interview. So I go to the Swiss Cottage Library, get a book out on SLR cameras. Not because I'm going to amaze him with pictures, but at least I know what I'm talking about when he says to me. If he did, but he actually didn't bother at all. He just said, "Oh, hi, you're a bit old because you should be 16. I'd done my A-levels. But, okay, we'll give you a go." And basically what a lad is a kid that washes the prints, keeps everything clean in the darkroom, and they start to show you how to print.
So it's a real apprenticeship you're training.
Yeah, and then your biggest job of the day, was to run to Fleet Street, with 10 envelopes with the photos of the day and slip into the newspapers, get past security, get past everyone, and hand your envelope to the picture editor.
So once the editor has those photos,
he'd open them up and go, oh, let's see what Sport and General have done today. So the agencies like PA are coming through on the wire. There was only AP and PA. So all these pictures were given by hand, all printed in 10 by 8 size.
And then if they ran one of your photos, the
not
agency
mine,
would...
not mine.
Well,
Yeah.
if they ran one of the agency's photos,
yeah.
they would get paid.
Yep. It'd be stamped on the back. Your copyright would be stamped on the back. And
how much would they get paid to run a photo? Do you remember?
I'd say, well, between minimum of £50 to if it was used well, £200, £300, on the front page. And that increases and then finally decreases. But yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So how long did you do this kind of photography for?
So I needed a camera. Now, Jill had another son called Simeon, and he had a SLR.
This is your friend's brother.
And they were going to LA. And the morning of them leaving, we were all kissing bye. Good luck, Simeon, Mum. And I just noticed that his SLR was sitting on the sofa. So I just threw a pillow over it. And he forgot it.
You just didn't ask. Why did you just ask him?
No,
Can I use your camera?
Anyway. And so that was my camera. I've still got it.
And how many years did you use that camera?
About 6 months, that's all.
Okay.
Because once I started, I realized, and it's amazing, how lucky is it that you find a job that you very quickly understand. And so it's a classic. You're in the dark room, you're cleaning, this is your job. I was a bit old, to be honest with you. So it was that did affect me, because the money they were paying was £15 a week was really for kids who were at home. And the classic, there's no one here. Can you go and can you take your camera? Have you got your camera with you, Dave? Yeah? Black and white film in it. Go and get a photo. There's been a raid around the corner, and I go around, there's a policeman holding a plastic bag with a gun in it. And in those days, that was so rare. It was newsworthy. So, and that's the first time I take a picture, get back, the guys print it, and we run it to the papers. I think it made the Daily Mirror. So
wow.
Circa 1977, around about then.
And you did that for how long?
So 2 things happened. One was I did run out of money. And a lovely friend of mine turned up. And he said, Dave, how's it going? I said, I really love this. I really love what this is. I'm going to do it. But I need some money. And he said, well, amazing. I found this job. You drive these girls around, they give you money. And he looked both ways and he said, they call it minicabbing. And I have to be honest with you, I bought his car from him for £80. And what was it? A Wolseley 1640. Off I went and used that money to sustain my photography.
So that's so interesting, because your ostensible job was photography. But in order to do that job, you needed to supplement that income with being a minicab driver.
Yeah, totally. And first of all, I tried to do both. And then I got too tired. I worked at night. It was the night cabs, really much more cowboyish. We were both in double denim, moccasins, long hair. Yeah. And the girls were, yes, you take the Italian girls up to the West End, and then, then you bring people home. And that really was true. And you made the money. And then I bought the proper cameras. And once you buy proper cameras, then everything changes. Because then they take you seriously.
So what changed for you?
2 things happened. I started working for the agency as a young photographer, and they asked me to go to Thames TV. And this is another one of the hugest breaks in my life. I went to Thames TV, a show called Thames at 6.
Okay, wait a minute. So I didn't move to London until 1999. and most people who are listening to this don't live in the UK.
Yeah.
What is Thames TV?
Right, so Thames TV is a huge... So ITV News is ITN. It's the commercial stations of England. So in the old days, it would be Granada, Southern, Thames. So Thames as in the area of Thames, and Thames Television.
Okay.
And London Weekend Television is actually LWT. That's what it is, London Weekend Television. So all these TV...
So it's basically a local television station.
But a big one.
And an important one. Yeah.
And then obviously everyone would import the ITN News into.
Ah, okay, got it.
So what happens is my agency sends me there.
Yeah.
Because they didn't have any agreements, you're going to love the story, with the ACTT for what was coming, the future for television, was what they call a 1+1 TV crew. 1+1 being cameraman and soundman in a car to react to any bank robbery or anything that was going on. The ACTT, which was the all-powerful union in those days, had no agreement at Thames. So they negotiated NUJ photographers could shoot incidents around London.
What's NUJ?
National Union of Journalists.
Okay.
Which photographers were.
You were a part of, yeah.
So I was sent to Thames TV.
And that was one of the biggest breaks of your life?
Yeah, because I walked through the door. I was very young then, and the place was run by women, as opposed to being run by men.
Right.
Grumpy old men with braces on.
Yeah.
Well, now this place was, all the key jobs were women. So a young Dave Benett slotted in there quite easily.
Why does that environment work better for you, Dave Benett?
It was just, we just got on so well.
Okay.
And I realized, and the income was 3 times the amount of Fleet Street. So I very quickly worked out that you could do 3 jobs in a day, and each one of them was paid practically a shift in Fleet Street. So that became very important. But again, for some reason, because they offered me after about 2 or 3 years there, did I want to be a cameraman? And I said, no, I don't actually. I want to be a stills photographer.
How did you know? I mean, because ostensibly becoming a moving image cameraman is like the next layer of technology, right? So how did you have that conviction that you wanted to stick to still imagery?
Ready? Because you were everything. You were the director, you were the cameraman, you were the screenwriter when you're a stills man.
Right.
But once you become a moving image man, you give some of that away.
Someone else is telling you how to shoot, what to shoot.
And I saw it and I went, whoa, don't want that.
Yeah.
So I stayed and, and that was the.
Okay.
Yeah.
So at some point in this news, journalism, television, Fleet Street, all of this stuff that you're doing, how do you go from taking photos of guns in plastic bags on the street
and riots
to taking pictures, and riots and all the stuff that you're doing, to taking pictures of celebrities? So,
okay. Even as I was in television, I suppose the difference was I was always quite, I'm a grammar school boy. I probably should have gone to uni. I didn't. Photography, I'm not a blue collar guy. I'm very looking for the better side of it all the time. And Thames offered me that because they had a new lady turned up called Sandra Harris, and she was Australian, and she wanted to run. I've got to tell you about the Thames TV we're talking about here. So Thames at 6 had a presenter called Bill Grundy on it. And Bill Grundy had to do an interview with this new pop group called the Sex Pistols.
Okay.
So Bill Grundy, one of the old vanguards of the old system, so he would show them up to be the completely unruly crew that they are. So he let them, brackets, have some more drinks in the green room than they should have done, maybe. And they came, and he was going to show them up. So they came on the show, and he dared them and they started swearing. And it was the famous Sex Pistol swear word interview. Of course, what happened was Bill Grundy got sacked and Sex Pistols became world famous. So he was on the Today Show, which was the magazine, the showbiz show. And now that became Thames at 6 and then became Thames News. Now, Thames News had slots for radio, music, and showbiz. And Sandra Harris asked for a young guy to come out with her at night and work. So I start working really even before I start properly, because I'll never forget, one of the biggest jobs I did for her was the opening of the new Regines Club. Now, Regines is a very famous Parisian club.
But they were opening a location in London.
It's now called the Roof Gardens.
Oh, okay, which has now been reinvented for the umpteenth time.
Umpteenth time, but that's the original.
Yeah.
The guy, Regine came in from Paris. The opening night had Sylvester Stallone, Brigitte Nielsen, Dolph Lundgren, and co. It was that big an event. Now, a great colleague of mine called Richard Young was already doing the night work.
Yeah.
And he had it sewn up. But they allowed a TV guy in.
And that was you. So did you already know Richard then?
No.
That's the night you guys met?
That's where we met. So we met
because you two are like,
yeah.
I mean, when I first started going out to parties and stuff in London, it was always you and Richard.
Well, we were Batman and Robin, wasn't it?
I mean.
I know it was.
So that was your introduction into entertainment.
But I'm a news guy. I literally said, can I go now? I'm done. I mean, I actually had color film of all of this. I used to just give it to them. Not interested. I wanted to be Don McCullin. That's who I want to be.
Yeah.
So there's nearly 5, 6, 7 years of this. I don't change over till about 85. And I've, so as I say, I'm literally one of the young guns of news work. And we always used to work at night. We'd be the first at a big bombing. We'd be the first guys at a shooting or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
That's what our...
So if you aspired to be this kind of serious journalistic news photographer, why did you switch?
Financials, probably.
Really?
Yeah, in the end.
So the party photography just paid a lot better?
When then, yeah. Well, we're talking early Pap as well.
Yeah.
Party photography isn't actually paid that well, because once you're in, then you're part of it. It's the other bit.
The paparazzi.
The paparazzi.
So did you ever do that? The paparazzi stuff?
Yeah, totally. So hang on a moment. You imagine this.
Okay.
Imagine this. You've got a guy who's 26, probably by now. Flash, MGBG, MGB. I meet a beautiful woman. We have a baby. Suddenly, it's not about just money to your pocket, is it?
You have a family to take care of.
That's right. And you're sitting in these photographers' room, and these kids are walking in, money coming out of their ears, not knowing one end of a camera to the other practically. And they've been chasing Madonna and Michael Jackson. And the newspapers have gone mad for it. And we're sitting there being chased by villains and dodging policemen and IRA bombs and, whatever we're doing for £35 a day. So, and I'd already been quite social. I did a lot of work at the time for the Sun and the Star. We were their night guys, and so we'd already been to the clubs like Stringfellow. We knew of them, and more, probably socially more than working. So when we saw that, I must admit, I thought, you know what? I think I better cross over here. And of course, because if you can chase a police van from the Old Bailey to get a picture of a killer in the car, you're going to be able to chase Michael Jackson down the road, and of course it was pretty simple, really. And also, because you're a general news photographer, when you cross over, it's quite easy. You can do everything. So you can do a photo call. You can do a concert. I mean, in those days, we had great time for us. Bruce Springsteen concerts, Madonna. I mean, some pictures I got of Madonna in concerts is unbelievable. you know, and say Michael Jackson, so many of his. And once we started getting connected, you got more and more of this.
Sure.
You know, and Prince, oh my God.
The 1980s.
Oh.
I mean, you were just going to say the Prince.
Prince.
Do you have a story?
Well, a million stories. I'll never forget the first time he came, or that we were aware of him anyway. I think it was Earl's Court he played. He had the black leather trousers and the white shirt on. His feet never touched the ground. He was in midair all the time. People in London just went, wow. And he then would take that concert and go to the Camden Palais and play for another 2 hours.
Yeah.
He was just insane. We met him at Gatwick Airport. For some reason he flew into Gatwick. He must have come from Europe. And we had such a laugh following him and his most gigantic security guard, the biggest man. With a great picture of Prince in the lift, and these two guys looking at me completely confused. Why is this guy still here? And they hadn't realized I had my foot on the door so that it wouldn't close. And they were looking for all the buttons. They were touching everything. And Prince could see what I was doing, and he was laughing his head off. He was literally laughing his head off.
So you could take a picture.
Yeah, we got a picture of him then. And in London, he was crazy. He would party. I mean, literally, he lived that crazy life.
The 1980s were that era when celebrity became a thing, right?
Yeah.
That's when
it was building up. I mean, let's be honest, right? We've forgotten that there was celebrity in the 30s and 40s. You know what I mean? Yeah. But everyone was so polite. That's the difference, isn't it? Whereas now, the 80s is when this starts. Proper.
So you have Michael Jackson, you have Madonna, you have Prince.
You get all of them.
And then you have Princess Diana, right? One of your most famous photographs is of Princess Diana and Liza Minnelli, right? Tell us about that photo.
So Richard and I, as I say, Richard Young and I, we were very lucky, apart from being really personable. Everyone loved us. We were society photographers. If you think about it, you're recording what society was doing. So we weren't, and we were showbiz. So we weren't royal photographers. We photographed the royals, but when they came into our world, and the relationship really did make a difference. So I was very fortunate. If someone would have a book launch, and they said, "Oh, by the way, Princess Wales coming," quietly, and they said, "Well, we told her you're here," and she said, "That's fine, Mr. Bennett, that's fine." Because I would just photograph her arriving and meeting the host, and then she could go off and chat to all her friends.
And she felt safe.
Exactly. And it was the same with Richard and I. We both had that relationship, and it really paid off for us. And that really did pay off for us as the doors closed later on in.
So then those photos, that access.
That night, we were at the premiere for Stepping Out. And of course, Liza, it was a big deal for Liza. And we went to do the after party at the Langham Hotel. It was a new hotel at the time. And suddenly someone said, "Oh, Princess Wales coming." She said, "No, she can't come. She's not supposed to be coming. There's no rota here. There's no royal rota on this part of it." But she broke it because she wanted to sit and chat to Liza Minnelli about dance.
And the royal rota, just so people know, is when they assign one photographer from a group of media.
The royal family created this with their press office, so that they wouldn't have, because everyone would want to, especially when Diana arrived, then they really had to start using that so much more. Yeah, so they basically have one guy from magazines, one guy from newspapers, one TV crew, one radio crew, and that would be.
And then they distribute that content to everybody.
And everyone can say it's theirs. Yeah, exactly.
Another photo, probably maybe your most famous, impactful photo, is the one of Liz Hurley in that dress.
Yeah. So again, by now I'm more inside than I am outside.
Yeah.
So again, that's one of those things that happens. As we grew up, coming out of the 80s into the 90s, and also, I was very fortunate. The papers I worked for, particularly the Standard, had such a broad palette of work that you would be inside as a Standard photographer. I mean, I used to be with Princess Margaret, the Queen's sister, backstage all the time because she loved ballet and opera. So literally, again, it'd be Mr. Bennett from the Standard. And these young guys come.
Wow. You must have seen some amazing stuff, Dave.
She was a very classy lady. I did the Queen Mother's 99th birthday at the Theatre Royal Haymarket. The owner, still is, Arnold's, asked me to be the house photographer. So I was. And I have a moment where I'm in the room and all the cast have come to meet the Queen Mother. It was quite a big cast in the royal rooms. And the Queen Mother's talking to Patricia Routledge, the star of the show. And I'm trying to get to her and the Queen's in my way. And so I'm only a young guy, right? So I'm going.
You can't be like, ma'am, can you get out of the way?
So I went, Mum. I went, Mum. And she went, I suppose you want me to move.
I'm sure that didn't pass the royal protocol. When I first encountered you, was at, and I know your remit is much wider than the world that I inhabit, but I encountered you at fashion parties, and at some point,
fashion becomes rock and roll.
When did you see that happen? Like, how did?
It was always been there. But we start to see it when, I suppose, when Kate Moss, Naomi, the fashion awards start to happen. Obviously, just that,
Vivienne
Westwood, and that all starts to happen.
So, like, this is the 90s, basically, that it really, fashion and these other cultural...
And Diana. So put Diana on top of that. Because she becomes... she could... I cry sometimes when I think of what a shame. Because she was already creating this amazing period of culture and art and music under her patronage, which would have worked because I'm still, the king now, the Prince of Wales, but he was very much still into his polo, his sporting, and so Diana's court would have been amazing. It was already happening.
You built your whole career on being exclusively inside these rooms, getting to know some of the big figures, being one of the only people there with a camera. And now we're living in an era where everyone has a camera.
Yeah.
How have you seen the way party imagery or event photography has changed in the era of both camera phones and Instagram?
Yeah.
It's all changed, right?
Well, so two things here. The power of the individual has increased massively. But we could debate this, is it selfish to be that possessive of your image? Or some of them are so huge that they don't want, seems like they don't want to give anyone else anything. It's all about them. And then they go and do something really silly, which is they put it on Instagram. And then all the people they don't want to have it can just take it. So that's always made me laugh. But the good thing for me is that they still need what we do because we're shooting for a client. We're shooting for someone else. We're shooting for the audience, the newspaper. And there's a skill that comes with that, of how you take a photo, what you're looking for in the photo. When you've got people with their own cameras, their own phones, taking their own pictures, they practically have only one use for them. And obviously, don't get me wrong, if someone's got 5 million followers, well, then that's fine.
I guess it raises the bar, though, on what you need to deliver. I think sometimes people are they underestimate what it takes to cover an event. And you've seen me. I've seen you, and you've done some of our events historically. So what's your strategy now for when you walk into a room and you're covering, what's your approach for taking photographs?
Well, you think about it. When you're doing a really big party like Vanity Fair, you're only one of three people in that room. The other guy, probably the biggest American photographer, Kevin Mazur. And then they'll have a wire image photographer, and then you, if I'm in there. So now you actually dissect the party. You work out exactly where you need to be for the initial arrivals or where they're calm. So you connect with all the people that are in the room. Then you work the room as and when new people arrive. You make sure you see them, spot them, don't have to go straight away. You go somewhere else, come back later. And you actually spend 4 hours just campaigning the room, just making sure you're in the right place at the right time. And, you know, luckily you run with your karma. I do run with my karma a lot.
What do you mean by that, run with your karma?
You just you will be in the right place. I mean, last year, Vanity Fair.
The one after the Oscars?
Yeah. In LA. The party of the year, probably not, you know, especially in Hollywood. And so two things. One, my antenna, keeping an eye out for Adrian Brody, because he now won the BAFTA and won the Oscar. And so did the young actress as well. So my radar is running there, but I'm
Mikey Madison.
Yeah. And I'm in the middle of the rooms, and the room suddenly is completely swarmed with stars. Between Kim Kardashian, the Jenner girls, just so unbelievable amount of people, and directors and everyone. And then out of my corner of my eye, I spot Timothée Chalamet, arriving with Kylie. Now, even for me, I love him. He's a great kid, and he seems to be going the right way, in my opinion. He seems to be, you know, not letting everything get to his head, and he's great. And now, but there's a moment now where it's an important picture, and your karma means that you're in the right place for that picture. Time. And that's what that's about.
So in the age of Instagram, in the age of mega celebrity, in the age of infinite distribution, this kind of photography still matters. And I guess one of the reasons we set up this conversation is because you're setting up a new boutique agency. And I have to say, Dave, I was a bit confused when I got the press release, because I always thought you had an agency, because I will be at an event, someone will take my picture, and it'll show up on Getty, but it's not you, but it says Dave Benett. Yeah. So I always assumed there was this
This is exactly why we've decided to do this.
Okay.
So I've been with Getty for 22 years now. And obviously it's always Dave Benett Getty Images, Dave Benett. And the clients, the world we're living in now started about 15 years ago, where people started saying, I want Dave to come and shoot this job. And then 5 people want Dave on the same night. So the idea that the premise is this, would you mind if I send one of my very good guys? He shoots it. It goes out as Dave Benett. Getty are happy. The client's happy.
But everybody wants you.
No,
Dave.
I know. But then this is the premise. Next time it'll be me, because you have to accept that a job will have to expand. So sometimes it won't be me, but next time it will be me. And then there's an OZ going on here. You make sure that you're there the next time for that person.
But what exactly has changed then?
So now you can be Max Chisati for the DBA, for the Dave Benett Agency.
So it's a little bit like the Billy Farrell agency in New York?
Same idea.
Okay.
So you're a satellite agency, but Getty run with Wire Image. They run with WD. They run with AFP. They run with.
So your images will still run on Getty.
Everything will be the same. Platform's the same.
You won't create your own platform like BFA has in New York.
No.
Okay.
We're staying with Getty. What it does do is it means that the company and young photographers can feel that they're not being covered, suffocated by Dave Benett.
So basically, they actually get their own credit now, exactly. And they're just part of DBA.
Yeah, exactly.
Got it.
Yeah, which means that, so that encouragement there. And also, it means that I feel strong enough as well that, that my client base will accept that. But there will be some clients say, no, we just want it to say Dave Benett. because that's what they want. So, we have to be flexible on that. But yeah, it's the idea. The idea also, we've got about 8 photographers running around now. We've got 4 girls, 4 boys, and because, the world's changing. So
tell me about that. So like in so far as the world is changing, how has that changed your approach?
I found that you're definitely getting some pressure that you'll have girls come and shoot some stuff, and maybe because the movies are a style of
right.
And I found that although I would say, my guys are good, they can do anything. I get that, I understand that. So what I've done is Camille, who runs me, my daughter Camille, I've encouraged her, and she's found 4 girls that we use all the time, and and they're brilliant, And what I've tried to do is help them, or just without telling them, but keeping an eye on their quality of work, getting it up to a level, and then your confidence is brilliant then, because now you can. Someone says, "Oh, can we have a girl?" Yeah, sure.
What advice do you give them about what makes a great party photo?
Yeah. So the 2 things I do, one is obviously importance is one is to never be too forceful. Politeness is like the big player here. Being fun, and then if you're fun, it comes back towards you, and people are fun towards you, and creating a relationship, and then the picture happens within the moment it gets taken. You don't set that up. You find a combination, and also being there just when the combination works. That's that bit of karma. Just when someone has just seen each other. So you give them that second to say hi, but the glow of the meeting is still there. So when they turn to you, a lot of my photography is posed as well.
Yeah.
Because I find that being a fly on the wall photographer at celebrity parties is difficult. They don't like it particularly because they like to give you their best
side.
Yeah, their best shot. Yes. So you can do it a little bit if you're really subtle about it, but if you're flashing it, if you've got a little flash in your hand, you have to be there with them. Okay. And then if they give you a fun picture, it's because they want to, which sort of works.
Yeah, I have noticed that about you, is that at parties, if you didn't have a camera in your hand, and if everyone didn't know who you were, you could almost be like one of the guests, right? You kind of try to blend in.
Yeah. Oh, that's a big,
right?
So again, very important. The biggest mistake a lot of young photographers make is that they walk in with a slightly workman attitude, and their dress is not right. I always try and dress without overdressing to be part of. So, for example, any major function, I will either be in pure black or black tie.
Yeah.
And you see me in black tie a lot.
Yeah.
Because and my black tie is Ralph Lauren. It's like properly black, because you want to be, you're right. If the camera was down, you think you were a guest.
Yeah.
Because you want that. You want that relationship.
Yeah.
I'm very fortunate. I've worked with a great friend of mine, Jonathan Borum, introduced Richard and I at the time to all of that Oceans 12 and 13 crew. So literally the gamut of Hollywood stars were suddenly guys that we were on the tarmac at Nice Airport when the Gulfstream landed, and George Clooney, Brad Pitt, Matt Damon, all came out, and they saw us stand there and they literally went, "God, you guys get everywhere." Then we spent 3 days with them.
Wow. Now,
that relationship carries on.
Yeah.
Last year in Venice, George and Amal, George saw me in the bank of photographers and climbed over to shake my hand.
Because you've known him for that long.
We've known him for that long. That's the relationship that you're trying to create. Because you can then bring, sometimes, when you're working for clients, you're the guy that everyone gives the responsibility to make it all work. You know, obviously some Hollywood events, you've got massive publicists who will not let you do that. But for lots of the other events, you know, you might get a Gucci throw party and they get 5 or 6 different celebrities in there. And now, if you're not able to work with those guys to create moments, at the end of the night, they go, "Oh, that wasn't very good. Oh, you didn't do really very well, did you?" And you could say, "Well, you didn't bring anyone. You didn't do anything, because actually, what you were expecting was the photographer."
Yeah, it's funny because sometimes there's like a really shit party, but because they've had a really good photographer, the way the party looks in photographs.
Yeah. You go,
makes it look way better than it was.
That's right.
In person, because they knew how to like bring people together.
That's that thing that you. That's what you pay for practically.
Right.
In the profession.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm. If I was going to mentor anything, that's what I mentor.
Yeah.
And I think where you pass and fail as a Dave Benett photographer would be in being able to get hold of the party, understand it, and then get hold of it and make it work.
What do you make of this new generation of photographers that aren't affiliated with an agency, that aren't, you know, they have, like, there's the Gurman Larkins and the Robins, and there's all of these, you know, there's a whole bunch of them now that, and they have their own business. And I think they actually make more money by selling images to the people at the parties than they. That's the new model, right?
That's
because
the new model.
The talent inside those rooms, they want good photos.
Yeah. Well, it's an interesting one, isn't it? Because some of them are just friends that go with these people, and then they've become their photographers. And they've actually upped their game quite a lot. So they've got, you know, so their clients, which are their friends, then they tend to be on Instagram or social media more than anything.
Yeah.
I don't know whether the quality, how that would actually break into a paper, a magazine level, a lot of black and white shot, you know, cover the lot, you know, compared to color. So what is great about it is that it makes the host feel happy that they've had a party and there's all these pictures from it. Now, whether most of the guys I know don't want to buy them. They want to be given them. So the host might.
Yeah, I think the exchange is that they get invited to the party. Yeah. The host of the party gets lots of photos, so they make no money from the photos that they give to the host, but they make money by giving those photos to some of the guests.
Okay, I mean that's
You know, this is what I'm starting to observe. Is that like the business of party photography is starting to change, where like everyone is looking for content.
I suppose. Yeah, I think I read it more like that they would get paid by the host, and then the host would give away the pictures.
That also happens.
That's what it tends to be.
That also happens. I mean, those are the two models now, I guess.
I think, I suppose it's interesting how media has become practically a bad word, because if you're shooting it for their social, come in. If you're shooting it, but if you're shooting it for media, then you're kept at the door. So it's quite interesting and you know, your media. So the question is, if you have a party, or if someone like, let's say someone like Kate Moss threw a party, she wouldn't want your guys in there.
Yeah, we would typically get photos from the people who organize the party, but if it was our party,
no, if your party is different.
But we want multiple media in there because we want the images.
No, what I'm saying. So that system we're talking about, where they're actually starting to not want media coverage. Yeah, what they want is actually just their own coverage. Yeah, amongst their friends.
Try to control everything.
So what happens is, most of the time, the only reason why they're not allowed to do it, or they can't do it, is because the payers of the party, which are the clients, want it to be, in the magazines. They want it to be on in the newspapers or online papers. So that relationship is always in balance now. Yeah. Because when you want, those clients want a level of photography.
Yeah. So like the people we invite to be inside our room is like people we know who are going to deliver high quality imagery.
Yeah, that's right.
Because that's the stuff that's going to spread.
Yeah.
Anybody can stand out on the red carpet. Right, but if we're gonna, okay, so we're almost out of time. Before we go, I'm just curious. What do you think? What do you think's the biggest misconception people have about party photography, or fashion people have about party photography?
I think it's a lot harder work than you think. I think that's probably anything. Photography is always... See, the difference between a journalist and a photographer, for example, at the party, a journalist can miss something and be told about it. A photographer can't. And that is the one thing. When you're, whatever you're doing, you've got to make sure your eyes are everywhere. And that's why a lot of people say, you didn't talk to me last night. I said, no, I couldn't, because I was too busy keeping an eye. And again, part of that karma, you're working in a room of 200 people, 300 people. Your karma aerial has to be up, looking for where that, and then you go, oh my God, so-and-so's in, and so-and-so's over there. Have they met yet? Oh, they will be. And then now you can't be chit-chatting and having a laugh with friends, because you'll miss it. And I suppose that's the thing, that the amount of work, the stress level, and the bigger the party, the bigger the stress. Because you are being, and you just said that, when you throw a party for your business of fashion, the guys inside have to deliver, because they, you want to have a set of pictures that really shows your party. Now, if they're not, so obviously there's a balance that you've got to make yourself look like you're having a good time, but you've got to keep your eye open.
Yeah, work comes first, basically. And then for those people who want to catch your eye, Dave, because people want you to take their picture.
Oh, I've had people.
What do they need to do to have you take their picture?
Well, obviously, girls, it's easier for girls because they tend to be easy to photograph. And all of them, they practically become my friends.
Yeah.
So most of them, and the young guys, up-and-coming guys, you can always tell someone who's got a glint in his eye and he looks cool, and you quite often go, hey, let's get a picture of you. So, which is all part of the game, isn't it? The game of fashion, and that we all play in there. We've all got a role. And I suppose, I'm that doyen of image making, practically. Some people go, Dave, if you hadn't photographed this guy, it wouldn't have happened. But he did, and it did. And girls, so yeah. I mean, I think the glint. Yeah, it's something interesting about someone.
That's what motivates you to take that picture.
No, that's right. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Well, it's been fascinating hearing about your life from Mauritius to Liverpool to the party scene in London. And just, I think sometimes people don't really consider that there is a business layer to everything in our industry, right? And there's a talent that's required to do the work that you do. And I'm pretty glad that you're no longer chasing ambulances and that you we get to see you around.
Me too.
So thank you for sharing your story with us. Such a pleasure.